Hello, buddy. Welcome back to the Tin Man Squirrel channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and today I'm reading another ghost book for you guys, and it's my South Carolina Ghost from the Coast to the Mountains book by Nancy Roberts. And the chapter I'll be reading out of here today is The Specter of the Slaughter Yards. Now, I already looked ahead in the pages. It looks like I might have to end up doing a two-parter, so let's get started. If a man named Willie Earl could walk the streets of Greenville today, he would feel at home. The city has acquired a scattering of skyscrapers, but many signs of the past remain. The dirty, cream-colored brick buildings are still common. The old railroad station, an abandoned red monstrosity, dreams on of past grandeur. Families continue to crowd around the tall, white columns of Augusta Heights Baptist Church on Sunday morning. And on each side of Augusta Street, gabled brick and frame homes recall the architecture of the 1920s. Behind the hill near Wakefield Street nest Meredith monotonous mill houses. A reminder that much of Greenville's workforce is still employed in textiles, an industry that sometimes becomes an economic refuge for the uneducated, unskilled, and intolerant and bigoted. This was the setting for a fearful story which was covered by Life magazine and the national press. The horror, hurt, and haunting have not yet been laid to rest. Well, that'll sound good. It was after midnight when the yellow cab dispatcher got a call from the Bramlett Road area. Cab driver Bill McAllister hesitated before saying he would take it. He had seen the eyes of some of the drivers when they had come back from that part of Greenville late at night. He drove on West Washington with Textile Hall coming up on his right. McAllister then turned left at the school and followed Bramlett until it became Blue Ridge. Once he thought he saw something in the road just in front of him, and he slammed on the brakes only to see it was just a night animal, maybe a possum. Then he picked up Bramlett Road again. He knew well where he was. This was the place where the old slaughter yards had been. On his right was an empty field, and on the left a development of small brick ranch houses. His instructions had been to pull over and stop in front of one of the houses on his left, flick the headlights, and wait for a passenger. At the first house he began to count until he reached the right one. Pulling off the shoulder, he felt the cab give a hump and a lurch as if he had run over a large piece of stove wood. What was it? Why was he so nervous? He slowed to a stop, flicked his lights, and waited. Who in heaven was he waiting for? Yeah, I would like to know. And here's a picture of the old jail at Pickens. It says it resembles an old grim fortress, but is now a museum. If you guys been to that location, let me know, okay? The man's name had only been a mumble over the phone. The house looked dark as pitch. He decided to get out of the car and have a cigarette. As he tried to strike the match, his hand shook. He thought he heard a noise and turned quickly. Was it his passenger? Frogs croaking, nothing but frogs, he told himself, but his body was tense. Then he heard it again, and it was not frogs. It was a low, guttural moan carried by the wind. The moan was unmistakable. It was the voice of a man in pain, and he could hear the words, "I swear, it wasn't me. I don't know who did it. Ah!" The scream swelled into a horrifying crescendo, and it seemed the cry of agony would go on in the night forever. Every thought left McAllister, save overwhelming fear. Desperately, he reached for the handle of the cab door, but failed to find it. And even as he groped for it, the darkness near him seemed to take shape and move. McAllister shook with fear, and it was all he could do to keep from leaving his cab and running. There was the whoop, whoop, whoop of heavy sticks striking with a thud. The sound of ripping fabric, and another scream split the night wide open like a razor-sharp switchblade cutting through human flesh. "Lord, you done killed me," he heard a man's voice cry. Then there was a shout. "Give me the gun. Let's get it over with." Shots rang out. At that moment, McAllister's fingers found the door handle. He dived into the cab and slammed it in gear and spun the car around on the road, but there was something standing in the road blocking his path. The car headlights illuminated an indescribably frightful and grisly sight. "God!" exclaimed the cabbie, swerving the car, and with his foot pressed to the floorboard he took off. When he walked into the yellow cab office 30 minutes later, the dispatcher stared curiously. "Look like you might be going to get sick, fellow. Did you pick up your passenger?" "I didn't. Wait, Curtin, I'm never going to pick up a passenger out that way after dark again. Lord, the poor bastard. Maybe I'm going crazy." "You're not going crazy, Bill. I've been willing to bet you've seen the same thing some of the other drivers have, and it's bad." McAllister groaned, his face in his hands. "Don't know when I've been that scared. What in the name of heaven was it, and why did I see it? Because you're a cab driver. That's one reason." "What are you talking about?" "There's only one guy left that would tell you all about it, and then you might be sorry you asked. It all happened 35 years ago. Dick Curtin shook his head, as if memories could be cast off or shrugged away like an unwanted hand on the shoulder. "He's a cold one, Johnny is. Always was, but for some reason he trusted me. Putting together what he said and the stories I've read in the papers, I'll tell you as much as I know of the whole thing. I'm going to start with something that happened back in 1944. God, that's a long time ago. One of the drivers, Johnny Worthington, was cruising along Main Street one spring afternoon when he saw a tall man in a tan raincoat standing under a drugstore awning. The man signaled and he pulled over. The fellow had lived up north and he was black. Worthington despised blacks, and particularly the ones that had lived up north for a while. "Nice raincoat you've got," Johnny said to his passenger. The fellow mumbled something and Johnny went on talking. "Yeah, wouldn't mind having me one like that, but it's bound to look better on a big, strapping fellow like you. Hey, I got a mind to try it on. What you say, boy? That wouldn't bother me none." "Wouldn't bother you? Well, how about that? 'Cause it would sure bother the hell out of me. I might take it off and find some of that black had rubbed off on me." The man on the back seat wouldn't answer, just kept looking out the window. Johnny was taking him out the Lawrence Road to his mother's place, and while they drove, he went on baiting him. "They got shed of you up north, and you come back down here, right? I hear whites and blacks eat in the same restaurants together up there. Is that true, boy?" I don't think the man answered him back. I'm starting to hate this cab driver already. I know the South was still kind of like racist back then, but golly, start teasing him about his coat and lives at and everything. I mean, that ain't right. Knowing Worthington, he probably was laughing that nervous little laugh of his that always came between the things he said. Sometimes it got under your skin because he did it whether something was serious or not, just a habit. Pretty soon they were there, a neat little white bungalow set back about 100 yards from the highway. As Johnny told it, the house looked right pretty in the late afternoon sunlight with tall pink Cleome in bloom on either side of the dirt road leading up to it. He reached back and opened the door for his passenger. He wasn't about to take the fellow to his house. Johnny was too mean for that. And here's a picture showing a key that this guy named Gilstrap used to open his jail door on the morning of February 17, 1947. The guy got out and began to stride across the black top toward the sand road, where they called out, "Hey, you ain't paid me yet." "Why, you son of a bitch," the black man replied. "I'd like to break your neck." Oh, I wouldn't do that. No. He turned and went on walking toward the house. Johnny reached down, pulled out a pistol, aimed it, and squeezed the trigger. There was a sharp crack, followed by a second and a third. The man fell to his knees. His arm jerked upward toward the sky, almost like he was praying, and then he toppled over face down in the road. He wasn't going to pay you because you were being disrespectful to him. I hate this guy right here. Really had to pull a gun out of an innocent guy and shoot him. When he told me a little about the next morning, it was more like he was asking me a question and then letting me draw my own conclusion. "Haven't read anything about a black getting shot, have you, Curtin?" At first I said no, and he laughed that little laugh of his. Then I see a story way down at the bottom of a page, something about a body being found out on Lawrence Road, a black man shot 3 times in the back. "Well, that's one less of 'em," said Johnny with a smirk. Those pale blue eyes of his cold as ice. It wasn't till a month or so later he told me all about it. Man, if somebody told me that, I'd be calling the cops to get him arrested, because that's just wrong. That guy is cold as ice. Of course, this was back before Brown was stabbed to death in his cab one night, and all hell broke loose. Turned my stomach then, and it still does, even though it happened back in February of 1947. There was a black man arrested for the killing, and his name was Willie Earl. I was in the courtroom listening the day his mother, Tisa, was testifying. According to Tisa Earl, it was Saturday night, February 15th, when she heard the Greyhound bus stop not far from Reed's restaurant where she worked. She was surprised because that bus usually went right through Liberty without stopping. When she got home, there sat her son Willie down from Virginia. Willie said he was sick with a cold, and his mama said, "Boy, have you just come home 'cause you're sick?" He laughed because he knew she was glad to see him. He was the oldest of her 7 children. She was only 14 when Willie was born. Now he was 23, maybe a little stocky, and about medium height. Sometimes he had a problem with epilepsy, but not the way he used to when he was a boy. He liked to work outdoors and had a broad smile that sometimes turned into a belly laugh. His baby sister asked him for money for Sunday school, and Willie told her he didn't have nothing but $2, and he gave her one of them in the morning. She tried to get in his pocket, and he pulled out his wallet and showed her the $2 bills. When Tisa Earl got up Sunday morning, she fixed a big pancake breakfast for everybody and left to go to the restaurant. 2 of Willie's friends had dropped by, and they were talking and listening to the radio. When Tisa Earl finished up at the restaurant about 2 o'clock and walked out the door, 2 policemen stood waiting to talk to her. "We caught your boy, Willie," they told her. "Caught him? What are you talking about? He's at home." "That's where we got him, Tisa. Your boy robbed and cut up a cab driver bad. We took Willie by the hospital, and the driver woke up for a few minutes and said he did it. Lord, Willie didn't come home in a cab. He came on the bus. I heard that bus stop and let him off. You know he doesn't usually stop at Liberty." That night she and the 2 oldest children went to the jail in Pickett's, which Earl, as you wanted to see, asked jailer Ed Gilstrap. "How many do you have in here? A fellow named James Earl is here. They brought him in drunk as a coot." "No, sir, my son is Willie Earl, and they're accusing him of something he didn't do." That same night in Greenville, angry cab drivers were gathering to talk about the killing at the Rainbow Cafe, Woodrow Clardy said, tugging at his black mustache while he talked to Hendricks Wrecker and Carlos Hurd. Sometimes they were joined by Johnny Worthington. "Well, what are we going to do about this thing?" said Hurd. "Yeah, we got to let some black man kill a guy like Tom?" one of the drivers asked. Clardy pulled his mustache angrily and shook his head. Johnny Worthington didn't talk much, but his eyes were hard and his jawline tense. Fat Joy came up. "Hey, are we going to let that guy cut up one of our pals' boys?" They were all mad, but nobody was saying what to do. Then Worthington suddenly spoke up. "Hurd, you're from Pickett's, aren't you?" "Yep." "You know the jailer?" "Sure. Guy by the name of Ed Gilstrap." "Why?" "'Cause I think we ought to go to see Ed tonight." "Hey, now you're talking, Johnny. We need to go to that jail and get that SOB tonight." "That's right, Johnny. Let's go get him," chimed in Rector. His face flushed with anger. Clardy and Hurd nodded in vehement agreement. "I was born and raised at Pickett's. I can walk right in that jail," said Hurd. "And then what, Johnny?" asked Woodrow Clardy. "Woody, you ain't never seen the likes of what's going to happen to that fellow." I'm going to stop it right here and continue on with part 2 sometime this week. Lordy, if they think there's a black man or a woman involved, they don't care. They're just going to go attack somebody without even knowing the truth. But anyway, that's going to be it for now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications for more book reading content like this. This has been another successful installment of the Tin Man's Court channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and I said that's a wrap, and that's day, y'all.